Paralyzed CEO's daughter was ignored at the wedding until a single dad asked, "Why is she alone?" The ballroom shimmered with gold and crystal as laughter and music filled the air. It was the wedding of the year, hosted by one of the most powerful CEOs in the country. But in a quiet corner, away from the crowd and the spotlight, sat a girl in a wheelchair. Her pale blue dress pulled around her small frame. Her hands fidgeted with the edge of her sleeve as she glanced at the dance floor, where other kids twirled and laughed. Nobody asked her to dance. Nobody even looked her way. Across the room, single Dad Ethan was helping his son, Liam, adjust his little boatie. They were distant relatives, barely invited, sitting near the back. Ethan's gaze swept the room until it landed on the girl alone in the corner. "Dad," Liam whispered. "Why is she sitting all by herself?" Ethan hesitated, then rose. His combat boots clinked softly on the marble floor, habits from his old life as a soldier never left him. He crouched beside the girl. "Hey," he said gently, smiling. "Why? Is someone as pretty as you, sitting here alone?" The girl's wide eyes filled with surprise. "Because no one wants to dance with the girl in the wheelchair," she whispered. Ethan's heart clenched. He glanced toward the head table where the CEO, the bride's father, was busy shaking hands and making speeches. The girl's loneliness wasn't out of neglect. It was the kind born from people not knowing what to say, how to act. "Well," Ethan said, standing tall, "that's their loss. May I have this dance?" The girl blinked. "But I can't dance," Ethan grinned. "Good thing I'm great at improvising." He rolled her wheelchair to the edge of the dance floor, knelt, and began to spin her chair gently in rhythm with the music. His son Liam joined, giggling as he clapped along. Soon, the crowd began to notice. Conversations stilled. Phones came out. The CEO's wife covered her mouth with trembling hands. The powerful man himself turned and froze as he saw his daughter, smiling, really smiling for the first time in months. The music swelled, and for that one song, the girl wasn't the paralyzed daughter of a CEO. She was just a little girl, laughing and dancing like everyone else. When the music ended, the CEO approached, eyes glistening. "Sir," he said to Ethan, voice thick with emotion, "you've done more for my daughter in 5 minutes than doctors have in a year." Ethan shrugged. Sometimes all someone needs is a little courage, and someone willing to ask why they're alone. That night, the wedding became unforgettable, for the lavish food or the high-profile guests, but for the single dad and his son who reminded everyone what real love looked like. The grand ballroom was alive with light and laughter. Crystal chandeliers rained warm gold over silk-draped tables and polished marble floors. The band played an elegant waltz as couples danced, swirling in gowns and tuxedos. The wedding of business magnate Charles Whitmore's niece had attracted the most powerful people in the city, but in the far corner of the room, beyond the crowd and decorations, sat a little girl in a pale blue dress. Her wheelchair barely fit between the towering floral arrangements. She was 10 years old, delicate and quiet, with chestnut hair falling in loose waves over her shoulders. Her eyes followed the dancing children her age across the room, giggling as they spun in carefree circles. She gripped her sleeve, wishing anyone would look her way, but no one did. Her name was Sophie Whitmore, the CEO's only daughter. A year ago, an accident had left her paralyzed from the waist down. Since then, people treated her differently. At first, they were overly gentle, then awkward, and eventually distant. Tonight, it felt like she had vanished completely. Across the room, Ethan Cole adjusted his son Liam's little boatie. Ethan wasn't part of the high society crowd. He was a single dad, a mechanic, and an Army veteran who had been invited only because his late wife had been related to the bride. They were seated near the back, far from the glamorous VIP tables. Liam tugged at Ethan's sleeve. "Dad, why is that girl sitting all alone?" Ethan followed his son's gaze. The sight hit him hard. A room filled with laughter and light, and yet one small figure sat in the shadows, fighting to keep her chin up. He smiled softly at Liam. I don't know, buddy, but maybe we can change that. Leaving his drink behind, Ethan walked toward the girl. His boots clicked against the marble floor, the sound drawing Sophie's startled eyes up to meet his. He crouched, so they were at eye level. Hey, he said, voice gentle but warm. Why is someone as pretty as you sitting here all by yourself? Sophie's fingers froze on her sleeve. Because nobody wants to dance with the girl in the wheelchair. Her voice cracked on the last word. Ethan's chest tightened. He'd seen loneliness before on battlefields, in hospital wards, but nothing compared to the look in a child's eyes when they believed they didn't belong. Well, he said softly, offering a smile, sounds like everyone else is missing out. May I have this dance? Sophie blinked in shock. But I can't dance. Ethan's grin widened. Good thing I'm really good at making up my own rules. He gently rolled her chair to the dance floor. Liam scurried over, grinning. As the band's music swelled, Ethan knelt and began to move Sophie's chair in perfect rhythm with the song, spinning her gently, dipping her in playful arcs. At first, Sophie was stiff, afraid people were staring. But then Ethan cracked a joke. Liam laughed, and before she knew it, Sophie's own laughter rang out, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in so long. One by one, the conversations in the ballroom quieted. Guests turned, phones lifted. The sight of the hardened army vet and the little girl in the wheelchair spinning together pulled every heartstring in the room. At the head table, Charles Whitmore stood frozen, his champagne glass trembling. His wife's hands flew to her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. For months, they'd tried therapists, specialists, expensive treatments, but nothing had brought their daughter back to life like this moment. When the music ended, the room erupted in applause. Sophie's face was glowing, cheeks flushed with joy. Ethan smiled and bowed dramatically. Told you I was good at improvising. Charles approached slowly. His usual commanding presence softened. Sir, his voice broke. You've done more for my little girl in 5 minutes than we've been able to do in a year. Ethan shrugged, his voice low. Sometimes all someone needs is to feel seen. He ruffled Liam's hair, and to have someone willing to ask why they're alone. That night, the wedding became legendary, not for the luxury or the guest list, but for a single dance that healed a little girl's heart, and for a single dad who reminded a room full of powerful people what true strength really looked like.